Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I've been a bit tired over the last couple of evenings, but tonight I am not tired. I am full of enthusiasm, excitement and energy because we are joined by somebody genuinely inspirational, and it's the creator of Nativity. She's done films, she's done TV, she's done stage, musical, the lot. It's the one and only Debbie Isitt. I can't even pronounce your name. Debbie Isitt. And we've even got music. We've got one of my favourite songs. We've not had music for anybody else. We've got Sparkle and Shine.
Yeah.
Honestly, I can't believe that we're joined by the creator of Nativity. Thank you so much for joining us, Debbie.
Oh, such a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Oh, not at all. How are you finding lockdown?
Lockdown, what are we now? Day 103 or something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been a long time. What's it been like for you?
Do you know what? I have to say it's been okay. I mean, I know that there's a lot of people struggling with it, but I've been all right and I've been really busy. So,
oh, wow. What have you been up to then? Are we allowed to know what you've been up to?
I've been writing. I've written another film. I've been prepping another film that was meant to be filming this summer, but got stopped because of the lockdown. So I've been prepping that, and I've been creating a new TV series idea, and I've just directed a lockdown sitcom. So like a little comedy with actors all obviously in lockdown, which has been really interesting and challenging. So yeah, I've not stopped.
Do you know that I'm not surprised? I just have this feeling that you're just a bundle of energy, and that's how you know. Is that right? Do you not stop?
I think I don't stop very much, but I'm not. I mean, I'm lazy in as much as I don't stand up very often. it's all a bundle of energy in here. But yeah, my brain doesn't turn off very easily, that's for sure.
Now, the reason I was so excited to get you on in particular was our thing over the last couple of years has been Dare to Dream. The whole idea that if you're brave or daft enough to have a dream, a big, stupidly big goal, then go for it. And you absolutely tick every single box. Did you know from an early... I know the answer to this one because I've done my research, but did you know what you wanted to be from an early age?
Well, I think I was about 9-10 when I directed my first production.
And what was that?
It was The Wizard of Oz.
Wow.
And I'd seen it at Birmingham Rep, and I'd watched it a few times, and I remembered the script more or less, and I made up the bits that I couldn't remember. And I cast all my friends and my cousins at primary school, and I cast myself as Dorothy. Why wouldn't you? And I asked the teachers, could I put it on? And they said yes, and the parents came and we did a big show. Oh yeah.
Oh, you literally, sorry, I thought it was like your friends on the playground, but you actually did it.
Oh no,
Oh, wow.
If I was going to do it, I wanted it to be seen, and that's been
that's amazing.
My idea ever since. If I'm going to do the work, people have got to come see it.
That's incredible.
So that was hilarious. Yeah, and it never left me. And I think bossing my friends around, and now I boss the professional actors around, and putting on a show and trying to get audience to come and see it, and trying to get an audience to love it, is just what it's all about. You know, whether it's a film or a show, it's all about reaching an audience. I think some people don't care whether they have an audience or not. Really? They're happy just to do their thing, make their films for no one, and not me. It's like, get them in. I want to see thousands of people enjoying it, you know, because it lifts my spirit and it makes it worthwhile for me to reach an audience, you know. And I want to reach ordinary people, you know. I consider myself an ordinary person, so I want to reach my kind of tribe and not be exclusive or snobby, and that's why I love working with children and making work for children as well, because that's so important to me.
So there's quite a gap in between producing your own show at school and Nativity. Where did you grow up then?
Well, I grew up in Birmingham, and I went to comprehensive secondary school, and I didn't really enjoy school very much. I liked my primary school because you had a lot more freedom and creativity, but secondary school I found it quite hard, and I found the academic life quite challenging, and I got bored very easily. I did do school plays when they were available, but I found myself not going to school quite a lot. Really? And the truant officer came round to my parents, and and I used to pretend I was going and not go, and bad stuff. But it's because I felt like I didn't really know who I was or what I was going to do with my life. And it was my mum actually who said, you're going to have to go and train to be an actor or something, because the only thing you've ever enjoyed is making theatre, you know, and watching theatre and all of that. So she dragged me to Coventry, not New York.
I've never been,
not London.
I've heard about it.
Coventry, it's 20 minutes up the road from Birmingham, so I didn't go far. And she made me audition at this school called Coventry Centre for Performing Arts. And when I did, I didn't want to go, but when I got there and I saw that all the other kids were like me, kind of off the street, you know, we were all the sort of same, I just thought, I really want to get in, you know. And that summer I kind of prayed that I'd get in, and I did. And I just thought, that's it now. That's my life. I know what I'm going to do with it.
You literally, you just knew from that point.
Honestly, I just thought, fantastic. I no longer have to engage with real life. Brilliant.
And you just spend your life not engaging with real life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because it's quite hard, isn't it? Sort of, you know, even as a head teacher, I'd concede that, you know, we're hammered that it should be all about reading, writing and maths, but it's not for everybody, is it? And we kind of pigeonhole kids that you should be doing this, and actually it's about finding what you're passionate about, which is absolutely what you've done, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's exactly that, Dave. You know, every child has something that they love or they're good at. And even if they don't consider themselves good at it, somebody can spot it in them. And it's about nurturing that, you know. And I had one brilliant English teacher who told me I was good at acting and I was good at writing and I was good at English and I should constantly, you know, and it stays with you. Yeah. So although I wasn't, a well-behaved child, it stayed with me, that idea that I was good at something, and it gave me confidence. So I didn't look back after that. I mean, I set up my own theatre company when I left the college, and you know, we toured all over the world, you know, and I wasn't a writer, but I decided I needed to write a play, because I needed a play that I could put myself in, that I cared about. Yeah. And there weren't very many plays with brilliant female roles in. So I thought, well, I'll write one, you know, for me. And then I thought, no one's going to direct me, so I'll have to direct me. So I did, you know. And then I thought, well, who's gonna hire the venue, raise the money, make the poster? Me.
You did all of that?
So, all of that, you know. I mean, I didn't drive the van. I let one of the actors do that, but you know, I did everything, and we toured for 15 years, you know, all over the world. Yeah, it was crazy. It was like being in a circus.
I got a bit emotional there, and I don't know where that came from, for honest, because what I've been really lucky over the last couple of months, that, you know, there's so many people, we have an idea, we want to be in TV, or we want our own business, or we want to go and travel, and we don't do it. You know, we've got this filter about, you know, we can't afford it, our family says that we can't do it, or, you know, your friends are going to mock you. What do you think it is that, you know, that took you from, you know, a relatively humble background, if you don't mind me saying it politely?
Yeah, sure.
You seem very proud of your roots.
Absolutely.
How did you do that? You know, what was the bit that, you know, what is it that, you know, that you kept going? Was it your mindset? You know, what advice have you got for other people out there?
I think I sort of always knew that it was going to be my whole life. So there wasn't a kind of, I'll suck it and see, I'll give it a go, and if it doesn't work out, I'll have something to fall back on. It was never an option. This was going to be my life. So it was going to be a long road. There weren't going to be any quick, you know, fixes. I was going to be doing this for years. So I could pace myself, and I knew it would take a while to get recognized, to get the good reviews that I needed, to get, you know, to get better at what I did, to find an audience and attract an audience. It was all about hard work and learning and improving as I went along. So working stuff out on my feet, and there's nothing like working in front of an audience to tell you that joke wasn't funny, or, you know, I thought this would be really moving, but nobody cried, you know, to send you back to your hotel or digs or whatever, to rewrite it and work on it harder and come back the next night, because you want to succeed, you know, you want to reach and communicate with people emotionally. So for me, it was just something I was going to do, and nobody was going to stop me. I mean, nobody asked me to do it. Nobody was going to stop me doing it. Like, this was my life. It was my life, and it still is my life.
I love that. See, so by my reckoning, you've gone from your own play at 8 or 10 or you know, primary school, How long until you had that goosebumps moment where you just took a bit of time to yourself and thought, wow, it's actually happening? Was there a moment that you just thought, wow, the magic is happening after all that time?
I think the first thing was we went to Edinburgh with my theatre company. We were called the Snarling Beasties, and we won an award. We won the Independent Theatre Award, and I couldn't believe it. It was like, hang on, and we were brought to London, from the Edinburgh Festival, brought to London to do a season at this very, elite theatre called the Donmar Warehouse in the West End, and then we went to the Royal Court, and there was a buzz, and suddenly the press were interested. And I was very young. I mean, I was in my early 20s by now. And I just thought, I can't believe this is happening. I'm a writer, a director, an actor, and nobody's told me to stop doing it. Now, people are actually writing about me and saying it's good work.
Yeah.
So I think that just happens. If you work hard, eventually people are going to notice, and you're then going to feel even more confident that you're doing the right thing for you.
What do you enjoy the most then? Because I didn't realise you've won BAFTA, Emmy. You've done all these things that you've done, TV, musicals. What do you enjoy the most?
I think for me, it's kind of all the same thing, because it's telling a story, and that's really what I'm here to do. I'm here to use my voice, me, to try and tell a story to you, and it's very unique, but it's across all the forms. It's the same, and working with actors is my forte. That's the thing I really love doing, because actors are the passport, between me and the audience. They're the people that translate the work, and if they're brilliant, firing on all four cylinders, funny, moving, wonderful, then obviously my work's going to be wonderful.
Yeah.
So my whole thing is about casting really well, working really hard with actors in rehearsal, and letting actors have a big input as well. So I don't know if you know, but I use a lot of improvisation.
Yeah.
I'm sure you do as well.
Yeah.
With the kids, so we don't sort of, although I write the stuff, I don't give out the paper, I don't give them scripts. The children never read a piece of paper in all four films and the show. They've never had a piece of paper in their hands.
Wow.
So I talk to them about who they are, talk about their lines. We try things, and we come to a decision about what's going to be said, but nobody reads anything. And I think probably that harks back a bit to this kind of not wanting to. I mean, I'm not dyslexic, although it might sound like I am later, because but I don't. But I do think it's something that ties down your creativity to have a book in front of you that you're concentrating on, and you're concentrating on the words. And what every great actor knows is that the words are not important. It's what's underneath the words. It's the subtext, what we call that subtext, that's important. So get rid of the words, and all you've got is this lovely, free rolling energy and actors owning their characters. And it's so exciting to work in this process. So I do that with film, with theatre, with the musical. We improvised everything.
It's funny because I vividly remember Nativity is genuinely one of my absolute favourite films, and I remember going to see it as a relatively young teacher, still quite impressionable, and I remember watching it and being totally inspired by this creative work of fiction, thinking, why not? Why can schools not be like that? And there was something beautifully authentic about it, and I didn't quite know. Like I've thought about it quite a lot. I always wanted to know whether these kids auditioned, whether they had agents, and they weren't theatre school kids. Whether, if you don't mind me referring to them as that.
No, so well, I suppose there were one or two in the end, but the whole idea was to be as real and authentic as possible. So to shoot in my hometown of Coventry, to find a school much like your school, to use as many of the children from that school or nearby schools as possible, particularly children that had never done anything before. So they came in for a workshop one half term where the actor Mark Wootton, who played Mr. Poppy, he just improvised with them. They were all themselves. They'd never done anything before. And most of the children were cast through that workshop. And then we had a couple of gaps. We had a couple of gaps where we didn't have, say, a brilliant singer for that song, and we just didn't. And they were all wonderful. They were doing their own thing. But, so then we did actually say, can we find a child that can sing this song? So the one or two that came through the sort of agented thing. But nearly every child in the film were just literally school kids, and often at that school anyway. So it was really authentic in that sense.
It's just the most uplifting film, like no matter when you watch it. Because before we came on, I decided to watch the trailer, and I just sat with a massive smile on my face all the way through. And was it expected to be the success that it was then?
I don't think so. I mean, I obviously believed in it, and I really wanted it to work, but I didn't have a clue that people would take it to their hearts in quite the way they did, and that I certainly didn't know it would spawn another 3 films on top of it, that it would become this, what we call a franchise. You know, I had no idea. But I knew there was something special in it because of the children. You know, for me, they were, even from that first workshop, I mean, I was smiling, you know, and I was getting a bit emotional just being in a workshop with them. And I just thought, there's just magic here. These kids are wonderful, innocent, in the moment, true to themselves. It was just beautiful. And you know what? You know, all the other actors behaved themselves because the kids, you know, were there, and so they didn't throw their diva strops. There was no egos on set, you know, because the kids were so wonderful and inspiring that everybody just behaved like older brothers or dads or mums, and it was like a big family, and it really was. And you know, really try to keep that feeling alive every time we make a film or a show.
Because it's just, I found myself thinking, there's not many films that it's almost like it's part of Christmas. You just watch it year after year. And there aren't actually very many films like that, and certainly not British films as well.
I think that's it. I think, you know, one of the secrets to its success is that it's a live action Christmas film, because even they are very rare, very thin on the ground. They're usually American, they're usually animated, they're all fabulous. I love Christmas films. But, you know, that thing of children being able to see themselves, you know, up on the big screen, you know, it is just an amazing thing. So children were able to say, oh, that's like me, that's what I'm doing at my school now, you know, and they could just get into it so much more and relate to it so much more.
It felt real. It was like hilarious and so out there.
Yeah,
it felt relatable. It was kind of believable that, you know, sort of, you know, that it just made you go away and think, oh, that actually could happen in a school. Now, I want to ask you about something that's made me smile every time I've read it. I read somewhere that Hollywood came knocking and he kind of sacked them off. Is that right?
Well, it was a bit the other way around, in as much as I went to Hollywood because my film, not Nativity, I made a film before that called Confetti, a wedding comedy, and that film was invited to the Toronto Film Festival. So I went with the film, and this guy came up to me after the film and said, hi, you don't know me, but I work for someone you may have heard of. He's an actor called Brad Pitt. And I was like, oh yeah, I think he's going to love your film. I think he's going to love you. So before I knew it, I was in LA, and I'd got an American agent, and I was going around every studio in Los Angeles being hyped as the new big thing, you know, and I was given all these scripts to read, and I was offered loads of money, and I was reading the scripts around the pool in the hotel, and I was just thinking, what am I doing here? You know, I mean, what I'd said to you a minute ago about my voice, my stories, you know, my vision of the world. I mean, anybody could direct these scripts because, you know, it wasn't that they weren't good. It's just find any director. You know, what's particular about me is that I'm going to do my thing. I'm an auteur, I'm a writer-director, you know, and I don't rarely separate the two. So I just thought, this is crazy. And you know, Universal did want to take my Nativity film eventually and do an American remake. And again, they offered us a, you know, eye-watering amount of money. And I said, well, if I let you do that, does that mean I can't carry on doing it? And they said, yeah, you can't. And I was like, well, then
you said no.
You can take your money.
Oh, I love
absolutely.
You.
I mean,
I absolutely love
world. This is my world. They're my babies, and I love these children,
God.
And it's a real thing, you know. It's a real thing that gives children opportunity in a place like Coventry. You know, why would I want to give that up? You know, and let American studio, you know, take it. So yeah, I've been through some opportunities that other people would look at me and think, you stupid idiot. No, not at all. This is my life, you know. My life is making my work my way.
Do you know what? The other thing that's come out loud and clear over the last couple of months when people have come on, it's about being authentic, about being your real, you know, giving yourself permission to be brave enough to be your real self. And you doing that, you know, you could walk away and think, wow, I turned down Hollywood because that wasn't the right thing to do.
It wasn't.
There's not many people that can say that.
Yeah, but as I say, some people would say I was well
No,
spotted.
no, I'm going to send you a sticker in the post for that one.
Hey.
That's amazing. I just think, what if there was something that you've not achieved already? What would the next thing be? What is there something out there you just think I'd love to still? You've achieved so much. What's still out there to achieve?
Oh my goodness! I mean, there's so many films I would love to make. I mean, I literally count the years and think, oh, I'm running out of time. I'm not going to be able to make that film or that film. I really want to write another couple of musicals. I'm not going to have the time. Like, where am I? There's not enough hours in the day. Like, life is short. I've got so much I want to do. Please let me live. I want to do it. I want to make this work.
Wow. I always see. I like to ask a few more random questions.
Yeah.
The stuff that you're not going to see on the internet. So we'll start with a simple one. Dogs or cats?
Oh, dogs.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
I mean, I love all animals. I really love animals. Well, but dogs.
Well, I mean, there's an interesting question here, and I've pondered over this one myself. If you could either speak all foreign languages or be able to talk to animals.
Oh, yeah. Talk to animals.
Animals.
I mean, I kind of feel like I already can, but I don't put that on the internet. But yeah, Debbie Doolittle. Who knew? No,
there's a film in that.
Absolutely. Animals are like probably my second favourite thing after making films and shows. Like, I'd work with animals.
I reckon animals have got some stories to tell. The flies, they must see all sorts.
Totally. I mean, and I love working with animals. This is, again, they say never work with children and animals. They're the best.
Really?
Work only with children.
How was the donkey in Nativity too?
Wonderful. Archie, he just became like a pet. Have
you stayed in touch with him?
I've always stayed in touch with him.
Do you Skype him now and again?
He's getting on a bit now. He's having a little rest.
If you could get rid of one thing out of your daily routine, what would it be and why? I couldn't figure this one out. It's a hard one, that one. I'm putting you on the spot, Debbie. I'm sorry.
It is hard because, I suppose I would ditch some of the stuff that's bad for me, like what I eat and drink, maybe. Yeah.
Don't do that. It's lockdown. We're all doing that on lockdown.
Any excuse?
Beach holiday or city break?
I think now beach holiday. When I was younger, city break, but now I do like a little relaxation.
Have you got a favourite city?
Do you know what? I have to say, having been all over the world, really, my favourite city is London.
Oh, really?
I think it's an amazing city. It just is. It just beats everywhere.
Before you read your story, one more question, because I don't know where you're going to go with this one. If you had an extra hour in your day, what would you use it for?
Oh, I just do a bit more work. Like, get a bit more work done.
Do you really enjoy your work? When you sit, do you feel like it's work? Or
I'm like this. I'm like, that's not good enough. Read it back. Okay, not good enough.
Wow.
I've run out of time. I've been called out to do something or go on a call. Damn it, have to get back to it. Yeah, I know. I wake up at 3:00 in the morning and I make notes and I, go and sit and I get up and I think, right, here we go, and back into it. I mean, it is. I am quite driven, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Some might say mad, or some might say I drive them mad.
I think you've got to be a little bit mad to do what to kind of push yourself that bit further.
Absolutely. I think, to be creative, you've got to be a bit bonkers, haven't you?
You've got to put yourself out there, haven't you? You've got to make yourself quite vulnerable, really.
And also what you said about, this could happen in a school. This is something I'm going to share with you. I feel like in this country, there's lots of cynical people, like Mr. Madden.
I totally agree. I would totally agree, 100%.
And what's brilliant about children and about creativity and about the great maestro of acting, Stanislavski, is he always said to us, ask the question, what if? So what if this happened? What would I do? Or what would the character do? And in this country, everyone says, as if that would happen, as if it would. So I'm constantly battling the as ifs with my what ifs. And that's a kind of vocation for me, But what if?
I totally agree. That was us. We entered Britain's Got Talent for a laugh. We turned up like drowned rats. We had no idea. We nearly sacked it off on the Monday before the Thursday. We didn't do one performance where it went correctly until the actual day. And we stood on the stage and the Golden Buzz cut. I'm crying my eyes out. We're just a normal school, normal kids, normal people. And it's like, you're right. What if? And you proved that. You prove that. What if? And you're
Take
right, we
the
are
risk.
cynical.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Take the
totally
risk.
agree.
Take a chance.
Yeah.
What have you got to lose as well? You know, go for it. All of these things, they're so important. And that, thank God you did, you know, and look at how brilliant it was.
And now I'm sat
brilliant.
talking to you in my kitchen and lots of other, all these other exciting things have happened.
You're lucky. I'm banned from my kitchen. There's too many people down there.
Do you know, you poo of the half earlier on. I was struggling to find you on Skype, wasn't I? And I sent lots of messages to Debbie Isitt. And then this man popped up, and I'm like, oh God, I'm sorry, I didn't. He was so lovely as well. He was
my own personal Father Christmas.
Is it right that he wrote some of the songs?
We co-write all the songs for the films and the show together. I mean, basically I write them, but he pretends. He's musically really gifted, and he's a singer-songwriter in his own right, you know. But you know, Sparkle and Shine is kind of more me than it.
Is that your
he's more 70s rock.
And is your daughter was your daughter in the films as well? I didn't know
that
either.
Yes, she in the first Nativity film, she's the little shy one who talks to Martin Freeman and says, "Do I have to wear a stupid costume?" Yeah, that's my little girl. Well, she's not little anymore. She's 21 now, and she's training in musical theatre in London. So it's lovely.
That's
she grew up with the whole
lovely
thing.
that you had the family all involved. It's so cute. I feel like I've plagued you with questions. You've actually. Do you want to read a little bit? Would that be okay?
Yeah, I'm a bit scared, but
Why?
I will try.
Do you want to tell people? Have you read it to anybody before?
No.
No way.
But I haven't. But it's familiar because it's kind of a spin-off book from the film and the show. But it's from Mr. Poppy's point of view. So it's called Mr. Poppy's First Day at School, and it's the first of the Mr. Poppy adventure books that I'm trying to write, and it might be rubbish, but I'll give it a go.
Thank you so much for doing that. I'm gonna take myself off the screen, and then we're gonna have this beautifully intimate moment where you read to a grown man.
Lovely.
So I'm gonna take myself off the screen, and I'm just gonna sit and enjoy being read to by the lovely Debbie Isitt. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me, Dave.
Not at all.
It's been lovely seeing you.
Thank you.
And what happens when I finish this, or will you interrupt me?
I'll come back on. We'll have a beautiful moment. I'll tell you how much I love you, and then I'll hang up.
Oh, lovely. Well, I'll speed through then. But if I go on too long, just interrupt me. Don't worry.
No such thing as too long.
Okay, I'll give it a go then. All right, Mr. Poppy's first day at school. Mr. Poppy woke up with a start. This was it, the big one. The day he'd been dreaming about ever since he was a cute, chubby little kid. This was the day that could change his life, his very first day at school. He jumped out of bed and bounded over to the mirror to check himself out. Not so different from the cute, chubby little kid he used to be, just cuter and chubbier. Mr. Poppy splashed his face with water and thought about what school was going to be like. He'd heard lots of stuff about it when he was growing up, and he'd really wished he'd been allowed to go. But it wasn't his fault his mum forgot to send him to school, and it wasn't his fault he'd never learnt to read or write or add up. And it certainly wasn't his fault that his mum had run away when he was only 7 and he had no idea where she was, or his dad, if he even had a dad. He'd never got around to asking his mum how babies got made. He'd have to ask the children that one when he got to school. School, quick! All that thinking and remembering was going to make him late. Mr. Poppy hopped onto his skateboard and zoomed off down the street. On his way to school, Mr. Poppy wondered if he should tell the children that he had no mum or dad. He bet they all had lovely, warm, soft mothers who made them lunch and baked them cakes, and big, strong fathers who cheered them on when they played football or did school plays. Mr. Poppy wondered if the children might help him track down his mum and dad. They must be somewhere. They could turn it into a game, like a treasure hunt. Only the treasure would be a family, his family. Mr. Poppy liked the word family, even if it did hurt his tummy a bit when he thought about how he didn't have one. Except his Auntie Pat, of course, his mum's sister. Auntie Pat, round and fat, that's what he used to sing when he was little. But she didn't seem to mind. Now she was headmistress at his new school, and he was getting butterflies just thinking about it. And suddenly, there it was, glistening in the sun, St. Bernadette's Primary School. Mr. Poppy approached the gates and his tummy flipped over. Hundreds of children were tearing around the playground. He suddenly felt shy and clutched his lunchbox to his belly. Why had he let Auntie Pat talk him into it? He wasn't ready to start school. He'd never even been inside one before. A small boy appeared beside him. Mr. Poppy looked down enviously at his lunchbox. Whoa, Power Rangers! They're so cool! The small boy handed over a Power Rangers sticker to Mr. Poppy. You can stick this on your lunchbox if you want. Mr. Poppy beamed. I do want. I love Power Rangers and stickers and lunchboxes. The small boy nodded. I'm Bob, by the way. Mr. Poppy held up his fist to fist bump Bob. I'm Mr. Poppy. Bob rushed off across the playground like a Power Ranger. Mr. Poppy took a deep breath and zoomed after him into the playground, tearing around, pretending to be an aeroplane. Some of the children squealed with delight and chased after him. They played tig and hopscotch and skipping and bulldog, and Mr. Poppy thought he might die of happiness. Suddenly, a shrill whistle sounded in his ears, and all the children stopped, still as statues. Mr. Poppy ducked under the legs of one of the kids before tearing around like a lunatic and bumped smack into a stern-looking man, knocking him flying to the ground. Who the hell are you? Mr. Poppy helped the man to his feet. I'm Mr. Poppy. But who are you? Cried the stern-looking man. I've already told you. I'm Mr. Poppy. Yeah, answered Mr. Poppy, sounding a lot more confident than he felt. I'm your new classroom assistant. The stern man looked unimpressed. You don't look like a classroom assistant. Mr. Poppy shrugged. Well, I am one. Mr. Poppy suddenly let out a loud, squelchy-sounding fart. Sorry, said Mr. Poppy. I didn't mean to do a pop-off. It just came out because you're making me nervous. The stern man covered up his nose in disgust as Mr. Poppy breathed in, delighted with the aroma he'd just created. Smells like sausage sizzlers. The stern man looked even sterner as steam seemed to chuff out from his ears. Okay, children, back to class. I'm steaming up here. The children sighed and groaned and dragged their heels towards the school building. Mr. Poppy suddenly yelled, Bundle! At the top of his voice. The children and Mr. Poppy leapt on top of each other. The stern man blew his whistle. Inside the school! Now! Mr. Poppy pulled a face. All right, keep your wig on. The children giggled. Mr. Poppy decided that school was going to be fun. Shall I carry on, or is that enough?
Yeah, go.
Okay. Mr. Poppy had never been inside an actual classroom before. Whoa, this place is awesome. He sat down on one of the little chairs and tried to slide it under a desk. These chairs must be for tiny smarts. They're teeny. The stern man looked at him crossly. They are for the children, not for you. You can sit on this chair by me. Mr. Poppy got up and made his way to the front of the class. Right, so who wants to do a play? The children's hands shot up into the air. Me. No, we're not doing a play, Mr. Poppy. We're doing reading. Or Auntie Pat said I have to help you do a play. Auntie Pat? Sorry, who's Auntie Pat? Auntie Pat, round and fat. Mrs. Bevan, the headmistress. The stern man nodded his head in sudden understanding. Of course, he said. Now it all makes sense. Mr. Poppy beams. I've got loads of ideas for the play. Like I was thinking we could get cardboard boxes and paint them all and dress up as little buildings and become the city of Nazareth with twinkly lights inside our little windows. And we could have a real live camel who spits at everyone on the front row. And we could have an angel flying down from a huge big height, like on a bungee jump death slide. And stars dressed in gold that shoot across the sky that we fire out of a real live cannon. And the kings can be like a boy band, giving it large for the ladies, throwing all the shapes, busting all the moves, making the girls go crazy. And the girls can be like little pop stars, like Little Mix, and they can ooh, 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 and they can ah. And Mr. Poppy, these children will never be able to do stuff like that. Mr. Poppy frowns. Of course they will. No, we won't. We're useless. Everybody knows how useless we are. Mr. Poppy looked out at the sea of faces. Who said that? A little girl raises her hand shyly. Mr. Poppy looks appalled. Why would you say that? Because that's what Mr. Maddens always calls us. Mr. Poppy looks at the stern man. You call these children useless? Mr. Maddens shakes his head. Not useless. I never said useless. They're just a bit hopeless, talentless. Mr. Poppy is absolutely shell-shocked. These children are not talentless. Just look at them. Okay, a lot of them are ginger and wear glasses, but that never did Ed Sheeran any harm. Bob, stand up. Bob jumps up to his feet. What What are you good at, Bob? I like twerking. Right, show us your twerk. Bob starts twerking. He is actually rather brilliant at it. See? Better than Beyonce. What about you? Mr. Poppy points to a tiny boy sitting at the back. He jumps to his feet too. I can do impressions of Mr. Maddens. Mr. Poppy smiles. Let's see it. The boy fixes his expression to look extra stern. Hello, my name's Mr. Maddens and I'm really grumpy. The children giggle. Mr. Maddens looks mad. See? St. Bernadette's got talent. Mr. Poppy points to another small child. TJ, what about you? I can put the whole of my fist in my mouth. Mr. Poppy turns to Mr. Maddens. You just have to believe in them, Mr. Maddens. If you believe, they'll achieve. That's as far as I got.
That is absolutely. There are so many lovely comments on here.
Oh,
do you know, it's really nice as a grown adult being read to. It doesn't happen often enough. That is so brilliant. There are lots of people. Emma Lou is saying she can't wait to get the book. So's Steph, so's Claire, so's Alison, so's Mo, and lots of other people. That is absolutely. You are so talented, and you are so lovely. Thank you so much.
Thanks. It was an absolute pleasure, and congratulations to you and the whole school and everything you've achieved as well. Brilliant. We've all loved it on Nativity. We love watching it and amazing stuff.
I really appreciate that. Thank you
Keep up the good work.
much. I'm going to hang up and then I'll say thank you when everyone's not watching. So everybody else who is watching, I think you need to say well done and thank you to the lovely Debbie. Even my mum's watching. My mum's put a lovely comment. She can't wait to read the book. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. This has been easily one of my favourite. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, Debbie Isitt. There we go. I'm going to hang up and we'll see you same time tomorrow. Oh, no, it's not just me. I've got somebody on tomorrow. We've got a dog tomorrow, Debbie. Yeah.
Oh, how lovely.
I'll let them in. I see we've got Dave and Finn from Britain's Got Talent last year. I'm losing the plot. But they're on tomorrow. So everybody else, see you later. And I'm going to say hello to you. Bye.